Chapter 1. An Uncle's Legal Obligations. Tyler Green considered himself a reasonable man. Reasonable men, however, occasionally found themselves hiding enormous toy boxes behind garden fertilizer displays while attempting to evade detection by their sisters. "This is ridiculous," Tyler muttered. The toy box stared back at him innocently. It was nearly as tall as his niece. A lesser man might have considered that excessive for a 6-year-old's birthday. Tyler considered it adequate. His phone buzzed. The caller ID read, "Sarah." Tyler immediately rejected the call. A second later, a text appeared. "Why aren't you answering?" Another followed. "You're buying something ridiculous, aren't you?" A third arrived before he could respond. "Mom says you're smiling. That means you're guilty." Tyler sighed. How his family managed to operate like an intelligence agency remained one of life's mysteries. He typed back, "I'm at the hardware store." 3 dots appeared instantly. "Liar." Tyler frowned. "How do you know?" "Because Mom is standing in the actual hardware store." He closed his eyes. Of course she was. His family shared information with alarming efficiency. Sometimes he suspected his grandmother coordinated operations. His phone rang again. This time it was his mother. Tyler let it ring. The toy box remained hidden. Technically, mostly. The bright purple packaging featuring a giant cartoon dinosaur was not subtle. Passing employee glanced at him. Tyler nodded. The employee nodded back. It was the look of 2 men who understood questions should not be asked. His phone buzzed again. "Your niece already has enough toys." Tyler smiled despite himself. That message came from Sarah. "No such thing." "There absolutely is such a thing. Not according to Uncle Law." Sarah replied with a single broom emoji. Credible threat. His sister had used one before. Not seriously. Mostly. Tyler finally escaped with the box loaded into his truck and drove toward the annual summer community festival taking place downtown. His niece's birthday party was tomorrow. The festival happened today. His grandparents wanted homemade apple fritters from one of the vendors. Nobody had forced him to go. Grandpa simply mentioned wanting them. That had been enough. Family worked that way. You showed up. You helped. You handled things. Not because you had to. Because they mattered. The town square was crowded when Tyler arrived. Children ran between booths. Live music played somewhere ahead. Food vendors filled the air with competing scents. Tyler navigated the crowds with practiced patience. He wasn't antisocial. He simply didn't understand the need many people had to constantly fill silence. Silence had never offended him. In fact, some of the smartest people he knew appreciated it. The loudest people usually had the least worth hearing. A familiar voice echoed in his memory. His grandfather often said, "Better to listen first. Gives idiots a chance to identify themselves." Tyler had always found that advice surprisingly useful. He reached a coffee stand and joined a short line. The woman ahead of him stepped backward unexpectedly. Tyler moved to avoid her. At precisely the same moment, she turned. They collided. The coffee she had just received launched into the air. Time slowed. The cup flipped. The lid detached. Coffee achieved temporary flight. Then gravity remembered its job. "Oh no!" The woman's eyes widened. Tyler managed to catch the falling cup. Unfortunately, the coffee did not cooperate. Warm liquid splashed across his shirt. A nearby cardboard box slipped from under his arm. The bottom gave way. Plastic dinosaurs exploded across the pavement. For a moment, neither of them spoke. A bright green Tyrannosaurus rolled between them. The woman stared. Then she laughed. Not a polite laugh. Not an embarrassed laugh. A genuine one. Tyler found himself laughing too. "Well," she said, "I think the dinosaurs lost. It appears that way. Are you injured?" "Only emotionally." She grinned. It was the kind of smile that arrived naturally. Not practiced. Not performed. Just sincere. "You caught the cup. I failed to catch the coffee. Partial credit. I'll take it." Together they crouched to collect the scattered dinosaurs. "There are more of these than seems reasonable." Tyler picked up a Triceratops. "There for my niece." The woman held up a Stegosaurus. "Ah, the uncle defense. The strongest defense. I've heard about this. It's legally binding." "Is it?" "Oh yes." He accepted the toy from her. "Uncles are required to buy gifts their siblings disapprove of." She nodded thoughtfully. "That explains a lot from my childhood." Tyler laughed. The conversation flowed with surprising ease. No forced jokes. No awkward pauses. No exhausting performance. Just 2 people talking. When they finally stood, she looked at the coffee stain on his shirt and winced. "I really am sorry. It wasn't entirely your fault. It was at least 40% my fault. I appreciate the precise accounting. I believe in accountability." Tyler raised an eyebrow. "Interesting answer." She smiled. "I've learned most adults blame everyone except themselves." That caught his attention. Not because it was profound. Because it was true. "And what do you do?" she asked. "Mostly prevent children from being disappointed and grandparents from carrying things they shouldn't." She laughed again. "A noble profession." "Thank you. I'm Emma, by the way." "Tyler." They shook hands. The gesture should have been ordinary. Instead, Tyler found himself noticing the warmth of her hand, noticing her eyes, noticing that talking to her felt surprisingly comfortable. An announcement echoed across the square. Emma looked toward one of the booths. I promised a friend I'd help her before she panics. A dangerous level of responsibility. The worst kind. For a brief moment neither moved. Then Emma smiled. It was nice meeting you, Tyler. You too. She started away, then paused. Oh, and for the record? Yeah. I approve of the dinosaur purchase. Tyler grinned. Good judgment. Clearly. She disappeared into the crowd. Tyler watched for a second before turning away, then stopped, then looked back. She was already gone. Strange. He usually didn't think twice about random encounters. Yet as he made his way toward the apple fritter stand, he found himself smiling. Not because she was beautiful, though she was. Not because she laughed, though he liked that too. It was simpler than that. She had felt easy to talk to, comfortable, authentic. A rare thing these days. His phone buzzed again. Sarah. Mom says you're still smiling. Tyler stared at the message, then laughed out loud. Perhaps his family intelligence network was even stronger than he'd realized. For once, however, they had absolutely no idea why. Chapter 2. Repeated coincidences. Tyler had never put much stock in fate. In his experience, most things people credited to fate were actually the result of choices, effort, timing, or occasionally being too stubborn to quit. Still, by Wednesday afternoon, he was beginning to wonder. Because running into the same woman twice in a town this size was coincidence. 3 times started to raise questions. You're late. Tyler looked up from his phone as his grandfather emerged from the grocery store, pushing a cart containing exactly 4 items, none of which justified requiring a cart. You said noon. His grandfather checked his watch. It is noon. You mean 12:03. I was raised before digital clocks. Those 3 minutes don't exist. Tyler shook his head and grabbed the cart. His grandfather was 78 years old, stubborn enough to wrestle bears if given sufficient provocation, and still regarded offers of help as personal insults, which was why Tyler never framed it as helping. He simply showed up and started doing things. Usually that worked. Usually. I could have carried those. Of course. His grandfather eyed him. You don't look convinced. I've seen you attempt to carry 6 bags in one trip because taking 2 trips offended your pride. It wasn't pride. What was it? Efficiency. Tyler laughed. Right? They loaded groceries into the truck. His grandfather climbed into the passenger seat. Your grandmother wants to go to the farmer's market. Of course she does. She's only buying tomatoes. Tyler snorted. No, she isn't. She claims she's only buying tomatoes. That's different. His grandfather pointed at him. Now you're learning. 20 minutes later, they pulled into the crowded farmer's market. The weekly event sprawled across several blocks. Fresh produce, baked goods, local crafts, and enough homemade jams to survive the apocalypse. Tyler helped his grandfather out of the truck. Remember, his grandfather said, we're buying tomatoes. Sure. Nothing else. Tyler nodded solemnly. Absolutely. An hour later his grandmother would somehow possess tomatoes, peaches, bread, flowers, honey, homemade candles, and at least 3 things nobody remembered purchasing. Experience had taught him acceptance. His grandmother met them near one of the produce stands. Tiny and silver-haired, she possessed the energy of someone who considered retirement a personal weakness. There you are. We're 3 minutes early. She waved dismissively. Details. Tyler kissed her cheek. Good to see you too, Grandma. She patted his face. You're getting skinny. His grandfather groaned. Here we go. I'm not skinny. His grandmother ignored him entirely. You should eat more. I'm 6'2". Then eat even more. That's not how. More potatoes. Tyler wisely surrendered. His father often claimed that arguing with Grandma was like wrestling a tornado. Possible in theory, pointless in practice. They began walking through the market. His grandparents greeted approximately every 3rd person, possibly every 2nd. After 30 years in the same town, they seemed to know half the population. Tyler carried bags while they socialized, a comfortable routine, a familiar one. He was reaching for a basket of peaches when a familiar laugh caught his attention. His head turned automatically, and there she was, Emma. She stood near a neighboring stall examining jars of local honey. Sunlight caught her dark hair. She was smiling at something the vendor had said. For a second Tyler simply stared. Not dramatically, just surprised. The odds felt increasingly suspicious. Emma looked up. Their eyes met. A grin immediately spread across her face. Well, Tyler laughed. Starting to think you're following me. I was about to accuse you of the same thing. Fair. She gestured toward his grandparents. Back up this time? My grandparents. Oh. Something softened in her expression. Before Tyler could continue, his grandmother appeared. He recognized the look instantly. Danger. Tyler. His grandmother's eyes moved from him to Emma, then back again, then back to Emma. The assessment required less than 2 seconds. His grandmother smiled. The smile of a woman who had reached conclusions. Terrible, unstoppable conclusions. Who's this? Tyler considered lying. Not because there was anything wrong with Emma, but because he knew his grandmother. The woman could build entire future family trees from a 5-minute conversation. This is Emma. Emma extended her hand. Nice to meet you. His grandmother ignored the offered handshake and hugged her. Tyler closed his eyes. Of course. Lovely to meet you, dear. Emma looked momentarily startled before recovering. Thank you. His grandfather appeared. Oh, another victim. Tyler snorted. His grandmother glared. Don't be rude. I wasn't talking about her. Emma laughed. Unfortunately, that only seemed to increase his grandmother's approval. Dangerous. Very dangerous. So, Grandma asked, how do you know Tyler? We crashed into each other. At a festival. Coffee was involved. His grandfather nodded. Naturally. There were also dinosaurs. Grandpa blinked. That explains everything. Emma laughed again. Tyler noticed she wasn't uncomfortable. Most people became nervous when confronted with his family at full power. Emma appeared entertained instead. His grandmother linked an arm through Emma's. Tyler immediately recognized disaster. Walk with me. Emma glanced toward him. Tyler offered an apologetic wince. She grinned, then allowed herself to be escorted away. His grandfather watched them go. Well, Tyler sighed. Don't. I didn't say anything. You were about to. I absolutely was. They watched as his grandmother animatedly talked while Emma listened. A minute later, Emma said something. His grandmother burst out laughing. His grandfather whistled. That's impressive. What? Your grandmother doesn't laugh like that for just anyone. Tyler folded his arms. They've known each other for 30 seconds. And somehow she's already doing better than most politicians. You people are impossible. His grandfather chuckled. She's pretty. Tyler looked away. Yeah. The older man noticed immediately. That was annoying. What? His grandfather's grin widened. Nothing. I hate that answer. I know. Several minutes later, Emma and Grandma returned. Both appeared entirely too pleased with themselves. What happened? Emma smiled innocently. We talked. Tyler looked at his grandmother. His grandmother looked back. Years of shared experience told him something had occurred. Something dangerous. Something involving information. Grandma. What? What did you ask her? Hobbies. Tyler narrowed his eyes. Only hobbies? Grandma considered. And family. Grandma. And goals. Grandma. And favorite books. Emma was laughing openly now. His grandfather joined in. Traitors. All of them. What did she ask about me? Tyler asked. Emma tilted her head. Oh, several things. He pointed at his grandmother. What exactly did you tell her? The truth. That was somehow worse. His family possessed an alarming quantity of truth. About 31 years worth. Most of it embarrassing. Grandma patted Emma's arm. He's a good man, dear. Tyler groaned. Please stop. I'm just making conversation. You've never made conversation in your life. You conduct investigations. Emma nearly choked trying not to laugh. The sight made something warm settle in Tyler's chest. He liked making her laugh. That realization arrived unexpectedly. And stuck. The afternoon passed surprisingly quickly. At some point, they all ended up sharing coffee at a nearby outdoor cafe. Emma fit into the conversation naturally. No awkwardness. No forced politeness. Just easy discussion. Books, families, travel, life. Tyler learned she worked as a physical therapist. Learned she volunteered with youth sports. Learned she adored terrible puns. That last revelation was deeply concerning. My coworkers hate my jokes. That seems reasonable, Tyler said. Emma looked offended. I'm hilarious. No. You're wrong. I don't think I am. I absolutely am. His grandfather pointed at her. I like this one. See. Tyler rubbed his forehead. Great. Now there's 2 of you. 4. His grandmother corrected. Emma high-fived her. His fate was sealed. As the afternoon wound down, Emma checked her phone. Oh, I should probably go. An unexpected disappointment hit Tyler. Subtle, but definitely there. His grandmother noticed immediately because she noticed everything. So soon. Emma smiled. I promised my sister I'd help with my nephews. His grandmother's expression brightened. You help family? Tyler nearly laughed. That was apparently the final exam. Emma nodded. Of course. His grandmother looked ready to adopt her. Tyler considered fleeing. Emma turned toward him. It was nice seeing you again. Again. The universe is running out of excuses for us. Tyler smiled. Maybe. For a second, neither spoke. Not awkwardly. Just long enough to notice. Emma finally reached into her purse. A pen appeared. Before Tyler understood what was happening, she grabbed one of the farmer's market flyers sitting on the table, scribbled something, then handed it over. Her number. You know. She shrugged casually. In case another dinosaur-related emergency happens. Tyler looked at the number, then at her. Seems responsible. I thought so. His grandmother looked smug. His grandfather looked smug. Even the waitress looked vaguely smug. Tyler chose to ignore all of them. Thanks, Emma smiled. See you around, Tyler. This time, as she walked away, he didn't watch her disappear into the crowd, because unlike the last time, he knew exactly how to find her again. Across the table, his grandmother made a suspiciously happy noise. Tyler pointed a warning finger. Not one word. His grandmother raised both hands. I haven't said anything. His grandfather nearly fell out of his chair laughing. Tyler looked at the paper in his hand. Then down the street where Emma had disappeared. For the first time in years, the possibility of something new felt less like work and more like anticipation. That alone was enough to make him smile. Unfortunately, his grandmother saw that too, and somehow that worried him more than anything else. Chapter 3. The love gangsters mobilize. Tyler knew something was wrong the moment his mother answered the door smiling. Not a normal smile. Not a pleasant smile. A smile with intent. A smile that suggested plans were already in motion. A smile inherited by both his sister and grandmother, which was unfortunate. Some families pass down heirlooms. His family passed down the ability to weaponize affection. Tyler stood on his parents' front porch holding a container of barbecue sauce he'd promised to bring for Sunday dinner. His mother opened the door. Hello, sweetheart. There it is. Her smile widened. What? That look. What look? The one that means I should leave before this becomes legally complicated. She patted his cheek. Don't be dramatic. Last time you said that, Grandma tried to set me up with the pharmacist. She was very nice. She was 70. Age is just a number. Tyler stared. His mother laughed and stepped aside. Get in here. The familiar sounds of family greeted him immediately. His father and brother were arguing about lawn equipment. His niece was running through the house dressed as a pirate. His young nephew sat in a high chair enthusiastically distributing mashed potatoes across 3 counties. Normal, comfortable, safe, or so Tyler thought. His sister appeared from the kitchen. The moment she saw him, a grin spread across her face. Danger. Immediate danger. Oh look, Tyler sighed. Please don't. He's here. Sarah. The man of the hour. Sarah. The mystery bachelor. Sarah. The owner of a phone number. Tyler stopped walking. Across the living room, their mother suddenly became very interested in arranging napkins. Their father abruptly studied the television. Cowards. All of them. You told her. Sarah gasped dramatically. Tyler, I would never betray your confidence. You absolutely would. True. She shrugged. I absolutely would. His niece ran over. Uncle Tyler. Saved. At least temporarily. He scooped her up. Hello, pirate. I'm Captain Evelyn. My mistake. She pointed dramatically. I captured Grandpa. Tyler looked toward his father. His father sat in a recliner wearing a plastic eye patch. Apparently he had surrendered. Reasonable. Some battles weren't worth fighting. Evelyn leaned closer. Mom says you met a girl. Tyler slowly lowered her back onto the floor. The room became suspiciously quiet. Sarah looked innocent. His mother looked innocent. His father looked fascinated by the ceiling. Traitor. Utter traitor. Captain. Tyler crouched beside Evelyn. Who told you that? She pointed directly at Sarah. Excellent. At least honesty still existed. Tyler stood. His sister offered no remorse whatsoever. She's 6. Then stop recruiting her. I regret nothing. Clearly. The conversation was interrupted when his phone buzzed. Without thinking, Tyler glanced down. A text message. From Emma. A 12-year-old just informed me that physical therapy isn't a real profession because superheroes don't need it. A smile escaped before he could stop it. The room collectively inhaled. Tyler froze. Across the room, Sarah pointed dramatically. Look at that. Oh no, his mother agreed. Oh yes, Sarah replied. Tyler immediately put his phone away. Too late. The sharks had scented blood in the water. Dad. His father shook his head. Nope. What do you mean nope? I survived raising the 3 of you. That's not relevant. Now I'm retired. Coward. Complete coward. 3 days later Tyler was standing in the produce section of a grocery store when his phone rang. His grandmother. Tyler answered immediately. You didn't ignore Grandma. Not if you valued peace. Hi, Grandma. Tyler, dear. He heard dishes clattering in the background. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. That should have been reassuring. Instead it wasn't. Okay. I made too much food. There it is. His grandmother ignored him. I need someone to bring a few things to Mrs. Cooper. The neighbor. Yes. Tyler reached for a carton of milk. When? This afternoon. Sure. Wonderful. Click. The call ended. Simple enough. Or so Tyler believed. 2 hours later, he parked in front of Mrs. Cooper's house carrying multiple containers. The elderly woman opened the door. Oh good. You're here. Tyler smiled politely. Grandma asked me to. Mrs. Cooper waved a hand. Kitchen. He entered. Set the food down. Turned around. And stopped. Emma was standing at the counter, holding an apple pie. Tyler blinked. Emma blinked. Mrs. Cooper looked between them, far too innocently. Oh, excellent. Tyler narrowed his eyes. Immediately. Mrs. Cooper. Yes? Did Grandma send you? The elderly woman looked offended. Certainly not. A pause. Then, your grandmother called first. Emma covered her mouth. A laugh escaped anyway. Tyler looked toward the ceiling. Of course she had. The old ladies were unionized. There was no other explanation. Emma set down the pie. You got ambushed too? Looks like it. Mrs. Cooper continued arranging dishes, completely unapologetic. My niece swore she couldn't help today. Emma pointed toward herself. My sister suddenly had errands. Tyler groaned. It's coordinated. Absolutely coordinated. Neither appeared particularly upset about it, which annoyed Tyler. He should have been more annoyed. Instead, he found himself amused. Mrs. Cooper finally huffed. If you're done complaining, sit down. They obeyed. Years of experience with elderly women had taught them resistance was futile. Mrs. Cooper spent half an hour telling increasingly unbelievable stories about neighborhood history, while Tyler and Emma exchanged helpless looks. At one point, she described a feud involving hydrangeas that apparently lasted 7 years. Neither dared interrupt. When they finally escaped, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the sidewalk. Emma shook her head. Your grandmother is terrifying. You noticed? Oh yes. I've had 31 years. You seem remarkably calm about it. I've accepted reality. They started walking. Neither seemed eager to leave immediately. So, Emma said, does your entire family operate like this? Unfortunately. Not unfortunately. Tyler raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. A lot of families talk about helping each other. Okay. Yours actually does. That simple observation caught him off guard. Emma continued. The way your grandparents talk about all of you. She smiled slightly. They're proud. Tyler looked down the street. For a moment, warmth settled in his chest. He appreciated that she'd noticed. Most people overlook things like that. You help yours too. Emma shrugged. That's normal. More normal than people admit. Their eyes met briefly. A quiet understanding passed between them. One that felt increasingly rare. Then Emma grinned. The dinosaurs still surviving? There were casualties. Tragic. It was a difficult time. I'll keep them in my thoughts. Tyler laughed. A real laugh. Easy and unforced. The kind that seemed to happen more often around her. He was beginning to notice that. They reached the parking lot. Neither had quite reached goodbye yet. A dangerous realization occurred to Tyler. He was looking forward to seeing her. Not in an abstract way. Not eventually. Soon. That mattered. Before he could examine the thought too closely, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Oh no. What? My sister. You sound concerned. I should be. Emma answered. Hello. Tyler watched her expression change. Then narrow suspiciously. Then flatten entirely. What do you mean Mom called? Silence. Emma slowly turned toward Tyler. Oh, more silence. I see. Another pause. Then, no, I don't think it was an accident. She hung up. Tyler already knew. You too. My mother accidentally mentioned your grandmother. Tyler laughed. Emma started laughing too. Soon they were both standing in the parking lot looking mildly horrified. And entirely amused. The conspiracy grows, Emma said. The evidence is overwhelming. We may need lawyers. I don't think lawyers can help. Probably not. Another smile passed between them. Comfortable now. Familiar. The kind that no longer required effort. Emma opened her car door. I should get going. Yeah. But. She paused. Then smiled. Since our families are apparently determined to manage our social calendars. Tyler waited. We could always make our own plans. The suggestion was casual. Straightforward. Adult. No games. No guessing. No reading hidden meanings. Just honest interest. Tyler found he liked that. Quite a lot. I'd like that. Her smile brightened. Good. They settled on Saturday afternoon. Simple. Easy. Normal. The way grown adults should. Afterward, Emma climbed into her car. See you Saturday, Tyler. See you Saturday. She drove away. Tyler stood there for a moment. Then he looked up at the sky. You win this round, Grandma. His phone rang almost immediately. Grandma. Tyler stared at the screen, then started laughing. He answered. How much of that was your doing? My doing? Grandma. What happened? The innocence was entirely fake. Tyler could practically hear her smiling. You're impossible. Nonsense. Did you set that up? A pause. Then, did you have a nice afternoon? Tyler rubbed his forehead. That's not an answer. Another pause. Then his grandmother laughed. The sound rang through the phone. Warm. Victorious. Dangerously pleased with herself. And somehow Tyler couldn't even be upset. Not when, for the first time in a long while, he found himself genuinely looking forward to Saturday. Chapter 4. The wedding trap. Tyler should have known better. Looking back later, he would identify at least 6 separate opportunities to avoid the situation entirely. The first was when his cousin Mark called. The second was when his mother volunteered information with suspicious enthusiasm. The third was when Sarah laughed so hard she dropped her phone after hearing the details. Unfortunately, Tyler had ignored all warning signs, which was how he found himself standing outside a lakeside wedding venue on a Friday afternoon while his family behaved like vultures that had spotted movement. The venue itself was beautiful, a renovated estate overlooking the water, stone walkways, gardens in full bloom, white tents stretched across manicured lawns. Guests arrived carrying overnight bags and garment bags. The wedding would be held Saturday evening with various events throughout the weekend. Normally Tyler enjoyed family gatherings. His relatives were mostly decent people. Loud people, nosy people, but decent. Today, however, he had made a catastrophic mistake. He had arrived with Emma. Not intentionally. That was the problem. Completely unintentionally. A few weeks earlier, while discussing weekend plans, Emma had casually mentioned knowing Mark and his fiancée through mutual friends. As it turned out, she had received an invitation as well. Coincidence. An innocent coincidence. Then she mentioned driving 3 hours alone sounded tedious. Tyler agreed. Carpooling was practical, reasonable, efficient. Unfortunately, his relatives viewed the arrangement differently, namely as confirmation of a relationship that technically did not yet exist. They're staring. Emma spoke quietly as they crossed the parking lot. Tyler followed her gaze. His mother, his sister, his grandmother, all three stood near the entrance, watching, waiting, smiling. Emma immediately stopped walking. Oh, yeah, that's unsettling. You get used to it. I don't think I will. His grandmother waved. The smile somehow grew larger. Tyler considered getting back in the truck. For about 3 seconds. Then reality returned. No force in nature stopped his grandmother once she reached a conclusion. And she had clearly reached several. Just remember, Emma said calmly, we aren't doing anything wrong. I know. We are 2 adults attending a wedding. Correct. We are not responsible for whatever nonsense they've invented. Tyler stared at her. Emma raised an eyebrow. What? You're remarkably calm. Tyler, I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. Understanding dawned. Oh, exactly. They approached. His grandmother immediately hugged Emma. His mother followed. Then Sarah. By the time Tyler reached them, he had effectively become luggage. Decorative luggage. But luggage. Wonderful to see you, dear. Emma smiled. It's good to see you too. You look lovely. Thank you. His grandmother pointed at Tyler. He cleans up reasonably well too. Grandma. What? The innocence was ridiculous. Sarah leaned toward Emma. We've been taking bets. Tyler groaned. No. Emma looked intrigued. No. No. What kind of bets? Emma. Sarah ignored him completely. Timelines. Sarah. Mom thinks 6 months. His mother gasped. I never said 6 months. You absolutely said 6 months. His grandmother scoffed. Amateurs. Tyler pinched the bridge of his nose. His father appeared beside him, holding coffee, watching the circus unfold. Help me. No. Dad. I survived your mother. He sipped his coffee. I earned this. Traitor. Complete and utter traitor. The rehearsal dinner that evening only made matters worse. Wedding events had always possessed a peculiar quality. People became emotional, nostalgic, overly interested in everybody else's love life. Tyler sat across from Emma at a long table while conversations swirled around them. For a while they escaped notice. For a while. Then Mark's Aunt Beverly appeared. Every family had one. The relative who treated subtlety as a personal enemy. She slid into an empty chair, smiled, and immediately struck. So, Tyler closed his eyes. Aunt Beverly continued. How long have you two been together? We aren't. Emma answered smoothly. We're friends. Beverly nodded. The nod of someone who believed nothing. Of course. Tyler sighed. Emma kicked him under the table. Hard. He looked up. She was trying not to laugh. Traitor. Friends are nice. Beverly smiled, then leaned closer. But when did you meet? About a month ago. A month? Yes. And you've already attended a wedding together. We shared gas money. Very practical. Emma nodded. We're fans of practicality. Beverly's smile deepened. Tyler knew that smile. It meant she was inventing narratives. Dangerous narratives. Fortunately, another relative distracted her. Emma exhaled after Beverly moved away. Is every wedding like this? Worse. Her eyes widened. Worse. My family is exercising restraint because we're in public. Emma nearly choked on her drink. Saturday morning brought a temporary reprieve. Most guests explored the nearby town while wedding preparations continued. Tyler and Emma escaped to a waterfront walking path. Finally, peace. No relatives. No questions. Just sunlight reflecting off the lake and a light breeze coming off the water. You know, Emma said, I don't think we've ever discussed your last relationship. Tyler glanced at her. The topic didn't bother him, which was probably a good sign. Not much to tell. Usually that's not true. For once it is. They continued walking. Tyler considered his words. It lasted about 2 years. Emma nodded. And we wanted different things. No dramatic ending? No. No betrayal? No. No secretly married international spy? Tyler looked disappointed. I was hoping for the spy. Sorry. She smiled. So what happened? Tyler shrugged. She liked going out. That's normal. Every weekend. Emma winced. Oh, and a lot during the week. Less normal. It wasn't bad. He meant that. Even now. Especially now. It just wasn't what I wanted. What did you want? A future. The answer came easily. Honestly, the way it always did. I wasn't looking for perfection. He kicked a pebble from the path. I just wanted somebody interested in building something. Emma listened quietly. Tyler appreciated that she didn't interrupt, didn't rush to fill silence, didn't force a response. We kept trying to make it work. He shook his head. Eventually I realized we weren't failing because somebody was wrong. Just because you weren't right for each other. Exactly. Emma smiled softly. That's surprisingly mature. I've had years to think about it. I still know people arguing about relationships that ended a decade ago. Tyler laughed. So do I. Emma looked out across the water. What about you? She was quiet for a moment. My last serious relationship ended because he liked the idea of commitment. Tyler waited. He just didn't like the reality. Those aren't the same thing. No. Her voice remained calm. Matter of fact, he wanted everything eventually. Tyler nodded. But never now. Emma looked over. Understanding flickered between them. Mutual recognition. The unpleasant familiarity of investing in potential instead of reality. That gets exhausting. It really does. Neither spoke for several moments. Not awkward. Thoughtful. Comfortable. Tyler found himself studying her profile. The sunlight caught in her hair. The breeze tugged loose strands across her cheek. She was beautiful. That wasn't new. What was new was how little that fact mattered compared to everything else. He liked talking to her. Liked her sense of humor. Liked her values. Liked that she had opinions. Liked that she communicated directly. Liked how she treated people. The attraction mattered. But it wasn't carrying everything by itself. That realization settled heavily. In a good way. Perhaps a dangerous way. Emma looked over suddenly. What? Apparently he had been staring. Wonderful. Tyler recovered impressively. At least that's what he told himself. I'm conducting an investigation. She laughed. Into what? Whether you're secretly working with my grandmother. Ah. Emma nodded gravely. A fair concern. I knew it. The compensation package is excellent. Tyler laughed despite himself. And just like that, the heaviness vanished. Replaced by something lighter. Easier. The wedding itself took place beneath strings of lights as evening settled over the lake. The ceremony was heartfelt. The bride cried. The groom cried. Half the guests cried. Even Tyler's grandfather looked suspiciously emotional. He naturally denied it afterward. The reception followed. Dinner. Music. Dancing. The familiar celebration of two families becoming one. Tyler stood near the edge of the dance floor, talking with Emma, when Sarah appeared beside them. Far too casually. Interesting. Tyler groaned. What now? I was just noting that neither of you has danced. Sarah. What? Emma looked amused. Dangerously amused. His sister pointed toward the dance floor. Seems strange. Before Tyler could respond, Sarah vanished. An ambush. A tactical strike. A hit-and-run operation. Emma watched her go. Your sister may be evil. Maybe. Fair point. The music shifted. Slower now. Couples drifted onto the floor. Tyler looked at Emma. Emma looked at Tyler. A moment stretched. Not uncomfortable. Just significant. Then Tyler made a decision. Simple. Straightforward. Adult. Would you like to dance? Emma smiled. I would. They stepped onto the floor. Tyler settled one hand at her waist. She rested hers on his shoulder. For a moment they simply moved with the music. The world around them faded slightly. Conversations blurred. Laughter softened. Everything narrowed. Not dramatically. Just enough. Emma looked up at him. You seem nervous. That's because I am. Her eyebrows lifted. Really? Tyler laughed quietly. Believe it or not. I'm honored. The smile she gave him then hit harder than it should have. Much harder. And for the first time since meeting her, a realization became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just interest anymore. Wasn't just attraction. Wasn't just enjoying someone's company. It was becoming something bigger. Something with actual weight. Something worth paying attention to. Across the room, Tyler caught sight of his grandmother watching them. She immediately raised her glass. Victorious. The tiny gangster. Tyler shook his head. Then looked back at Emma. And realized he didn't care who was watching. Not anymore. Chapter 5. The problem with certainty, Tyler had never understood people who claimed love struck like lightning. Lightning was random, violent, unpredictable. Love, at least as far as he could tell, looked a lot more like paying attention. It was noticing things, accumulating small moments, choosing someone repeatedly until one day you realized the choice wasn't difficult anymore. Which was precisely the problem. Because sometime in the 2 weeks following the wedding, Tyler stopped wondering whether he liked Emma. He already knew he did. The question had become how much. And that answer was increasingly inconvenient. You're distracted. Tyler looked up from tightening a loose hinge on his grandparents' back gate. His grandfather sat nearby in a lawn chair drinking iced tea, observing, which usually meant trouble. I'm fixing the gate. You're staring at a fence. It's attached to the gate. His grandfather nodded. A strong defense. Tyler returned to his work. His grandfather remained silent. Unfortunately, years of experience had taught Tyler that silence from older men in his family was rarely surrender. It was preparation. Eventually the attack came. Emma seems nice. Tyler nearly dropped the wrench. There it was. The attack. He should have seen it coming. Grandma got to you. His grandfather looked offended. Nobody gets to me, right? I'm my own man. You've been married 56 years. Your point. Tyler laughed. His grandfather waited. Patiently, comfortably, the kind of patience that came from decades of experience. Finally Tyler sat back. She is nice. His grandfather nodded. The conversation should have ended there. Instead, you care about her. Not a question. An observation. Tyler looked toward the garden. For once, he didn't dodge the answer. Yeah. His grandfather smiled slightly. Good. Tyler frowned. That's it. What else should I say? I don't know. His grandfather shrugged. Seems straightforward. Straightforward, right? Except it didn't feel straightforward. Felt important. Important things carried weight. His grandfather studied him for a moment, then spoke softly. The things worth having usually do. Tyler looked over. His grandfather smiled. Small, knowing, dangerously accurate. Then he stood. My contribution is complete. You didn't do anything. I dispensed wisdom. You drank tea. Same thing. The older man strolled away before Tyler could respond. 3 days later, Tyler found himself sitting across from Emma at a small outdoor cafe. Neither had planned the afternoon carefully. They'd simply both ended up free. A text became a conversation. The conversation became lunch. Lunch somehow stretched into coffee. And now they sat beneath an oversized umbrella watching people move through the town square. Easy. That was the word Tyler kept returning to. Being with Emma felt easy, not effortless. Relationships still required attention. But easy in the sense that neither of them was pretending. Neither was performing. Neither was trying to become someone else. Emma stirred her iced tea. You know what I hate? Tyler immediately became suspicious. That question. It wasn't a question. It always starts that way. Emma laughed. My sister called today. Dangerous. Very. She pointed her spoon at him. She thinks we're dating. Tyler nearly smiled. Only your sister? My mother too. Amateurs. Emma blinked. What? My family moved past that weeks ago. To what? Tyler sighed. They're now debating timelines. Emma almost sprayed tea across the table. No. Oh yes. You aren't serious. My grandmother apparently considers 6 months overly cautious. Emma lowered her head into one hand. The laughter became impossible to contain. Several nearby customers glanced over. Neither cared. Finally, she recovered enough to speak. Your grandmother terrifies me. Understandable. She actually likes me. That's why you should be concerned. Emma pointed again. Exactly. Tyler laughed. For a few moments, they simply enjoyed the conversation. The sunshine, the company, the absence of pressure. Then Emma grew thoughtful. What are we doing? The question arrived gently, without tension, without accusation. Still, Tyler felt his pulse quicken, because he'd been asking himself the same thing. Not out of confusion, out of certainty. A much more dangerous problem. Emma looked down at her glass. I don't mean that negatively. I know. She searched for words. We spend a lot of time together. We do. I like spending time together. I do too. A faint smile touched her lips. Then she looked up. Direct as always. Honest as always. Tyler appreciated that. Maybe more than anything else. I don't like games. Neither do I. I don't want assumptions. Me neither. A small silence settled between them. Comfortable. Expectant. Tyler took a breath. Then decided honesty was easier. Always had been. I think you're incredible. Emma looked surprised. Not dramatically. Genuinely. Tyler continued. I like talking to you. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. I should hope so. I like your family. Even my brothers? Mostly. She laughed. I like how you treat people. The smile faded into something softer. More vulnerable. More real. Tyler held her gaze. And I think we're both way too old to pretend we don't know what's happening. Emma stared at him for several seconds. Then she laughed quietly, relief mixed with amusement. That's probably true. Probably. Fine. Definitely. Tyler smiled. Something loosened in his chest. Not because the conversation solved everything. Because it didn't. But because neither of them had run from it. Neither had hidden behind ambiguity. Neither had played some ridiculous game. Emma leaned back slightly. You know what I like about you? Absolutely not. The fact that you answer questions like that. Tyler grinned. I'm glad. She tilted her head. I trust you. The simple statement landed harder than any compliment. Because trust mattered. Trust was earned. Built. Protected. Not handed out casually. Tyler found himself unexpectedly speechless. Emma noticed immediately. There. What? You do have emotions. I've been exposed. A tragic day. They both laughed. But her words lingered. Trust. That mattered. Perhaps more than either of them realized. The trouble arrived 3 days later. Not dramatic trouble. Not relationship-ending trouble. Family trouble. Which was somehow worse. Tyler walked into Sunday dinner and immediately sensed danger. His mother was too cheerful. His sister was too quiet. His grandmother looked pleased. The unholy trinity. Across the room, his father briefly met Tyler's gaze. Then looked away. No help there. What's happening? Nobody answered. That was bad. Very bad. Evelyn ran over and wrapped herself around his leg. Uncle Tyler. Hello, pirate. I'm not a pirate anymore. Oh, I'm a ninja. Of course. She lowered her voice dramatically. I know a secret. Tyler sighed. Naturally. What secret? She pointed at the dining room. Everybody's talking about Emma. Tyler closed his eyes. Across the room, Sarah burst out laughing. She wasn't supposed to tell you. She's 6. She lacks operational discipline. Tyler looked toward his grandmother. Are we gossiping about people now? It isn't gossip if it's positive. That's not how that works. His mother entered carrying a serving dish. We like her. I know. She's wonderful. I know. She's good for you. Tyler stared. His mother paused, then slowly smiled. Oh, what? The smile widened. Oh, Sarah froze. Wait. Grandma froze. Wait. Tyler immediately understood his mistake. Too late. Far too late. 3 women simultaneously reached the same conclusion. The room practically vibrated from it. His father quietly left for the backyard. A wise man. A survivor. You love her. Sarah spoke first. Tyler nearly choked. What? You do? No. Pause. Then, maybe. The room exploded. Not literally, though it felt close. His grandmother looked ready to declare a national holiday. His mother sat down immediately. Sarah made a noise Tyler had previously only heard from sports commentators witnessing historic moments. Oh my God. Calm down. I'm never calming down again. Sarah. You admitted it. Not really. You absolutely did. His grandmother patted his hand. Triumphant. Victorious. Entirely too pleased. Tyler looked toward the ceiling. This is why nobody tells this family anything. Because we're supportive? Because you're maniacs. His grandmother beamed. No disagreement there. Despite himself, Tyler laughed. Because they weren't wrong. Ridiculous. Intrusive. Exhausting. But not wrong. And beneath all the chaos lay a simple truth. His family wanted him happy. That had always been the goal. Even when they drove him insane. Even when his grandmother orchestrated social encounters like a retired criminal mastermind. They loved him. The realization softened his irritation. A little. Not much. But a little. Later that evening, after finally escaping the interrogation, Tyler sat on his back porch. The summer air was warm. Crickets sang somewhere beyond the fence. His phone buzzed. Emma. How was family dinner? Tyler stared at the message. Then laughed. A moment later he typed back. I survived. Barely. Her response came quickly. That bad? Tyler considered. Then smiled. They like you. Several moments passed. Then, I like them too. The answer should have been simple. Instead, something settled quietly into place inside him. A certainty. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. Steady. Solid. The kind that couldn't be ignored anymore. Tyler looked out across the darkening yard. Then down at Emma's message. And for the first time in a very long while, he allowed himself to consider a future that included someone else's footsteps beside his own. Not because he needed someone. Not because he was lonely. Not because his family wanted it. But because he genuinely wanted her there. And that realization was both comforting and terrifying. Mostly comforting, which was probably how he knew it was real. Chapter 6. Honest Conversations. Tyler's phone rang at 6:17 on a Tuesday morning. Almost nobody called him that early, which meant one of 3 things. Something broke, someone needed help, or his family had discovered a new and innovative way to create problems. Half asleep, he reached for the phone. The screen displayed his grandmother's number. Tyler sat upright immediately. Grandma. Good morning, dear. Her voice sounded normal, calm, alert, which helped. A little. Everything okay? Your grandfather slipped. Tyler was already standing. How bad? We're at the hospital. His stomach tightened. I'm on my way. Don't speed. I won't. Tyler. I won't. Good. The call ended. 10 minutes later, he was in his truck. 20 minutes after that, he was pulling into the hospital parking lot. The drive felt longer than it actually was. His grandfather was healthy, stubbornly healthy. The man treated old age like a personal insult. But time eventually collected payment from everyone. No exceptions. Tyler entered the emergency department. Immediately spotted his grandmother. She sat in a waiting room chair looking mildly annoyed. A good sign. Concerned grandparents were bad. Annoyed grandparents usually meant survival. He crossed the room quickly. Grandma. She stood and hugged him. He's fine. Tyler exhaled. The tension didn't disappear entirely, but it eased. What happened? He fell off a ladder. Tyler closed his eyes. Of course. What was he doing on a ladder? Cleaning the gutters. Why? He said they were dirty. Tyler looked toward the ceiling. Naturally. His grandfather would probably attempt roofing repairs during a tornado if left unsupervised. Nothing's broken, his grandmother continued. Just bruised. Good. Though I may kill him myself. Understandable. A laugh escaped her. Short but genuine. The tension eased another fraction. An hour later, the doctor confirmed what they already knew. No fractures. No surgery. A sprained wrist, bruised ribs, and strict instructions to take it easy. The doctor clearly had never met his grandfather. Take it easy ranked somewhere between impossible and mythical. Tyler pushed the wheelchair toward the exit. His grandfather looked offended by the entire situation. I didn't need the chair. You absolutely needed the chair. I walked in pain. I've been in worse. His grandmother folded her arms. You fell off a ladder. The ladder moved. The ladder was standing still. It moved emotionally. Tyler snorted. Even the nurse laughed. His grandfather looked betrayed. The next several days became a family operation. Not because anyone demanded it, because that's what happened. Tyler handled grocery runs and household repairs. His brother mowed the lawn and managed outdoor chores. Sarah helped their grandmother around the house despite repeated claims that assistance wasn't necessary. Everyone simply adjusted. Nobody kept score. Nobody complained. Tyler never gave it much thought. It was just normal. Saturday afternoon, he arrived carrying 2 bags of groceries. His grandmother opened the door, then immediately smiled. An odd smile. One Tyler recognized. Danger. Not manipulation danger. Different danger. Who's here? His grandmother pointed toward the living room. Tyler stepped inside, then stopped. Emma stood beside the couch holding a tray of muffins. She looked slightly embarrassed, and somehow pleased with herself. Tyler stared. Emma smiled. Hi. Hi. His grandfather sat in a recliner, looking far too innocent. Nobody bought it. What are you doing here? Emma gestured toward the tray. I brought muffins. A likely story. You caught me. His grandmother patted Emma's shoulder. She stopped by yesterday too. Tyler turned slowly. Grandma. What? You didn't tell me. I didn't know I needed permission. Fair point. An infuriatingly fair point. Emma laughed. His grandfather pointed at her. She has excellent timing. How so? The muffins arrived before physical therapy. Emma rolled her eyes. I'm beginning to understand where Tyler gets it. He wishes. I heard that. Tyler set the groceries down. The familiar warmth he felt around Emma settled into place almost immediately. Comfortable. Natural. As though she'd already belonged in this house for years. The realization surprised him. A little. And perhaps worried him. A little more. A few hours later, they found themselves sitting on the back porch while his grandparents napped. The afternoon sun filtered through the trees. A gentle breeze stirred the wind chimes hanging near the garden. Peaceful. For a while, neither spoke. Emma sipped iced tea. Tyler watched birds move between the feeders. Finally, Emma broke the silence. You were worried. Tyler glanced over. About Grandpa? She nodded. I could tell. He considered pretending otherwise. Decided not to. No point denying it. No. His gaze drifted toward the backyard. He won't be around forever. Emma remained quiet, listening. Tyler appreciated that. A lot. Most people rushed to solve discomfort. Emma let him sit with it. I know that. His voice remained steady, matter of fact, still harder than he'd expected. I'm not naive. He smiled faintly. Grandpa tells us he's immortal every Thanksgiving. Emma laughed. Bold claim. He doubles down every year. I respect the commitment. Tyler smiled. Then the smile faded. But one day, he shrugged. No more ladders. No more bad jokes. No more stories. Emma looked at him carefully. You love them. The statement was simple, obvious, yet somehow important. Tyler nodded. Yeah. Something tightened in his throat unexpectedly. Not enough to stop him. Just enough to remind him how much it mattered. My parents too. He leaned back. People spend so much time acting like caring is embarrassing. Emma nodded slowly. I've noticed. I don't get it. Neither did she. That much was obvious. What happens when they're gone? Tyler asked quietly. What do you mean? I mean. He searched for words. The right ones. My grandfather taught me how to fish. A smile touched his lips. My dad taught me how to drive. His eyes drifted toward the house. My grandmother taught me how to make pie. Emma looked surprised. You bake. I know enough to avoid starving. I'm impressed. Tyler ignored that. My point is, his voice softened. They spent decades helping build me into who I am. Emma's expression changed. A deeper understanding. They'll always be part of you. He looked at her. Not because of the answer itself. Because of how naturally she'd understood. The conversation could have ended there. Instead, Emma spoke again. My dad's like that. Tyler stayed quiet, giving her space, allowing her to continue. He taught me consistency. A small smile appeared. When I was little, I thought that was boring. Now I think it's one of the most valuable things anyone can offer. Tyler nodded slowly. Consistency, reliability, showing up, the unglamorous foundations of every healthy relationship. Interesting. Those were exactly the things he valued too. A realization struck. Not suddenly, not dramatically, more like another piece clicking into place. The list of things he admired about Emma kept growing, and it wasn't slowing down. As the afternoon faded toward evening, they walked through the garden together. His grandfather's pride and joy, tomatoes, peppers, several vegetables Tyler couldn't identify. I think your grandmother likes me. Tyler laughed. You think? I'm trying not to sound arrogant. Too late. Emma nudged his arm. You know what I mean. I do. They walked a few more steps. Then she stopped, turning toward him. More serious now. Can I ask something? Sure. Emma folded her arms loosely. What happens if this doesn't work? The question caught him off guard. Not because it was unreasonable, because it was honest and important. Tyler thought for a moment, then answered the only way he knew how, truthfully. We'd survive. Emma blinked. He continued. I don't mean that negatively. I know. We're adults. She nodded. We don't owe each other perfection. No. Tyler met her gaze. But I'd be disappointed. The admission hung between them. Simple. Vulnerable. Real. I would too, Emma said quietly. Neither looked away. The moment stretched. Not uncomfortable. Just exposed. The kind of moment where pretending became difficult. Where honesty mattered. Tyler took a slow breath. Then spoke. I think that's why I've been careful. Understanding dawned immediately. Emma smiled faintly. Because this matters. Yeah. For the first time all afternoon, neither joking nor deflecting felt necessary. They simply stood there. Two people acknowledging the obvious. Not rushing. Not hiding. Just accepting it. Emma stepped closer. Only a little. Enough. I like that you're careful. Tyler felt his heart pick up speed. A deeply inconvenient biological response. I like that you're honest. Her smile softened. So we're both doomed. Looks that way. Emma laughed quietly, then reached for his hand. The gesture was simple, gentle, yet it somehow felt more significant than any grand declaration. Tyler looked down at their joined hands, then back at her. Something settled into certainty. Not a question anymore. Not a possibility. A fact. He was in love with her. The realization didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived with calm, with clarity, with the quiet confidence that came from knowing exactly why. And standing there in his grandparents' garden, surrounded by evidence of a lifetime built through patience, effort, and care, Tyler realized something else. For the first time, he could genuinely picture Emma as part of that future. Not because she completed him, not because she fixed anything, but because she was already walking in the same direction. And that made all the difference. Chapter 7. The interview. Tyler knew he had made a tactical error the moment Emma agreed to dinner. Not because dinner itself was a problem. Dinner was normal. Dinner was harmless. People ate dinner every day without incident. The problem was whose dinner. Specifically, dinner at his parents' house. With his mother, his sister, his grandmother, all present simultaneously. A gathering Tyler privately referred to as a panel interview. Emma referred to it as meeting people. This difference in perspective worried him greatly. You're overthinking. Emma sat in the passenger seat while Tyler drove toward his parents' house. The evening sun painted long shadows across the road. Tyler glanced over. I am not. You absolutely are. I've known these people my entire life. Exactly. She smiled. Then you should know how ridiculous they're being. Tyler laughed. That's the problem. You think they're going to interrogate me. I know they're going to interrogate you. Emma looked delighted. That should not have been possible. You're excited. A little. They're not normal. I've met them. They get worse in groups. She laughed. The way you're talking, I think we were appearing before Congress. Congress asks fewer personal questions. Emma's smile widened. You know what's funny? What? Your grandmother likes me. Tyler groaned. Yes. And your mother likes me. Yes. And Sarah likes me. Unfortunately. Emma folded her arms triumphantly. So you have nothing to worry about. Tyler looked at her, then looked back at the road, then looked at her again. She genuinely believed that. The poor woman. The front door opened before they reached the porch. His mother stood waiting, smiling, of course. Emma. Tyler didn't even receive a greeting. His mother immediately hugged Emma, just walked right past him. Emma shot him a grin over his mother's shoulder. Traitor. Complete traitor. Hello, Mrs. Green. Oh goodness, call me Linda. Only if you call me Emma. Deal. Tyler stepped inside behind them. Hello to you too. His mother waved vaguely in his direction. You're here every week. Fair point. An irritating point, but fair. The living room was already full. His father occupied his usual recliner. His grandfather sat nearby. Sarah and her husband occupied the sofa. His niece ran across the room wearing a cardboard crown. Apparently today she was royalty. His nephew chased her while carrying a stuffed dinosaur nearly as large as he was. Chaos. Beautiful, familiar chaos. The best kind. The moment Emma entered, Evelyn skidded to a halt. Her eyes widened. Then she pointed. Dinosaur lady. Tyler blinked. Emma blinked. What? Evelyn raced forward. You helped Uncle Tyler save the dinosaurs. Realization dawned. Emma nodded gravely. I did. Evelyn looked impressed. You're a hero. I hope so. Tyler watched Emma kneel down and begin talking with his niece. Within 30 seconds, they were discussing dinosaurs with complete seriousness. A minute later, his nephew joined them. Then Sarah. Then his mother. Then somehow Grandma. Tyler stood alone near the doorway. His father looked over. Smirked. You've been replaced. Helpful. I'm a father. His dad shrugged. It's another one of my gifts. Dinner began normally, at least by Green family standards, which meant 6 overlapping conversations happening simultaneously. Tyler sat beside Emma. A strategic choice. At least he thought it was. He soon discovered nobody was interested in talking to him. The panel interview had begun. Emma became the sole witness. So tell me about your family, dear. Grandma opened with the first question. Emma answered comfortably. My parents live about an hour away. Married how long? 34 years. Good people? The best. Grandma nodded approvingly, an encouraging sign. His mother immediately followed. What was Emma like as a child? Emma laughed. Oh no. Oh yes, Sarah said. Tyler recognized that tone. It never led anywhere positive. I was apparently fearless. His father looked interested. Apparently? My brothers enjoy reminding me I tried to jump off the garage roof with an umbrella. Sarah choked on her drink. Seriously. I was convinced it would work. Grandpa looked thoughtful. Reasonable. His grandmother stared at him. It wasn't reasonable. You don't know. We didn't test it. Emma burst out laughing. Tyler noticed something. Everyone else did too. She fit. Not in a forced way. Not because she was trying to impress anybody. The exact opposite. She simply existed comfortably in the space. The same way family did. The realization settled heavily in Tyler's chest. A warm weight, one he couldn't ignore. The real disaster began with Sarah. Predictably. I have pictures. Tyler froze. His soul left his body briefly, then returned. Angry. No. Sarah grinned like a villain. Oh yes. Emma immediately sat up straighter. Interested. Dangerously interested. Tyler pointed at his sister. Don't. Counterpoint. Sarah pulled out her phone. Absolutely. His mother gasped. Oh, the pirate phase. Emma covered her mouth. What pirate phase? Tyler closed his eyes. It was over. All of it. His dignity. His future. Everything. Sarah held up a photograph. A 7-year-old Tyler stood atop a picnic table wearing an oversized pirate costume. Plastic sword occupied one hand. An eye patch covered the wrong eye. What happened to the other eye patch? Emma asked. Tyler's father answered instantly. He said pirates needed depth perception. The room exploded with laughter. Tyler stared at the wall. The wall offered no support, no loyalty, no mercy. More pictures followed. Baseball disasters, school plays, questionable haircuts. Several examples of childhood decisions that should have remained buried forever. Emma laughed harder with every photograph. Not cruelly, warmly, affectionately. That somehow made it worse, or better. Tyler couldn't decide. Eventually she wiped tears from her eyes. I cannot believe this is you. Neither can I. His grandfather pointed at a photograph. He got stuck in that tree. Emma immediately sat upright. What tree? Tyler groaned. No. The maple. His grandfather ignored him. He was 10. Emma looked fascinated. How long? 3 hours. Tyler dropped his head into his hands. The betrayal was complete. Across the table, Emma laughed so hard she nearly fell out of her chair. And unfortunately, the sound was wonderful. He liked hearing her laugh, even when he was the reason, especially then, if he was being honest. Later, after dinner ended, people drifted throughout the house. Children played. Coffee appeared. Conversations scattered. Tyler eventually found himself on the back porch with Emma. The evening air carried the familiar scent of grass and flowers. Inside the house, laughter echoed through open windows. Emma leaned against the porch railing beside him. They love you. Tyler looked surprised. My family? Yes. They harass me constantly. They adore you. He considered arguing. Failed. Because she was right. They do. Emma smiled softly. The stories weren't embarrassing. They absolutely were. No. She shook her head. They were loving. That stopped him. Emma continued. I know the difference. The sounds from inside drifted through the screen door. His mother's laughter. His father's deeper voice. His grandparents. The children. Family. The people who had spent decades building one another up. The people who showed up. Again and again. Without keeping score. Without treating love like a transaction. Emma took his hand. A simple gesture. One that felt increasingly natural. You know what impressed me most? Tyler looked at her. What? The way they talk about you when you're not paying attention. His eyebrows rose. Oh, they trust you. The words landed quietly, powerfully. Tyler didn't know what to say. Emma seemed to understand. Your grandfather trusts you. Her fingers squeezed his hand gently. Your parents trust you. A small smile touched her lips. Even your sister. Let's not get carried away. Emma laughed, then grew serious again. They aren't proud because you're successful. Tyler listened. They're proud because of the kind of man you are. For several seconds he couldn't respond. Not because he disagreed. Because hearing it from her mattered. A lot. Perhaps more than it should. Finally he spoke. You handled tonight better than I expected. Emma grinned. The interview? Exactly. I passed. You did. With distinction. Tyler nodded. Terrifying distinction. She bumped his shoulder lightly. Good. The screen door opened. They both turned. His grandmother emerged carrying 2 cups of coffee. Of course she did. Nothing escaped that woman. Nothing. She handed them each a cup, then looked between them. Once. Carefully. Thoughtfully. A faint smile appeared. Not triumphant. Not mischievous. Just genuinely happy. For perhaps the first time since this entire adventure had started. You two seem good together. The statement was simple. Sincere. Grandma rarely wasted words when something truly mattered. Tyler glanced at Emma. Emma looked back. Something settled between them. Steady. Certain. Real. Yeah. Tyler said quietly. We do. His grandmother nodded once, as though confirming something she'd known all along. Then she returned inside without another word, leaving them alone again. Emma watched the door close, then looked up at him. You know. What? I think your grandmother might be smarter than both of us. Tyler laughed. A long, helpless laugh. That was never in doubt. And standing there beneath the porch light, hand in hand with the woman he loved, Tyler realized something unexpected. For months he'd been waiting for problems, watching for obstacles, preparing for complications. Instead, what he kept finding was confirmation. Not from his family, not even from Emma, from himself. Every conversation, every shared decision, every honest moment, all pointing toward the same conclusion. For once in his life, he wasn't trying to make a square peg fit a round hole. For once, he wasn't hoping compatibility would magically appear later. It was already there, quiet, steady, built piece by piece. And as Emma smiled up at him in the warm glow spilling from the house behind them, Tyler realized there was only one thing left that still scared him. Not losing her. That fear had faded. The real fear was how much he wanted a future that included her. And how little that fear resembled fear at all. Chapter 8. Building forward, Tyler Green had always believed that the future was built through small choices. People liked dramatic moments, grand gestures, life-changing revelations. Movies were full of them. Reality, in his experience, tended to be quieter. The important things happened gradually. A conversation here, a decision there, showing up when you said you would, doing what you promised. Then one day you looked around and realized an entire future had been constructed from ordinary moments. That realization struck him on a cool Saturday morning while he stood in a toy store arguing with a 7-year-old. Uncle Tyler. Evelyn folded her arms. The gesture would have been more intimidating if she weren't missing a front tooth. Yes, you are not listening. I disagree. Strongly. Tyler nodded seriously. Noted. She pointed toward a display. A display he had been hoping she wouldn't notice. The largest dinosaur playset in existence. Possibly visible from orbit. That one? Absolutely not. Your mother would kill me. Evelyn considered. Maybe. Definitely. Her expression suggested sacrifice was acceptable. Tyler understood. He had inherited many questionable ideas from older relatives. Apparently, the next generation was progressing nicely. Before negotiations could continue, Emma appeared beside them carrying a shopping basket. The answer is no. Evelyn looked betrayed. You didn't even ask the question. I know the question. You can't prove that. Emma pointed at the massive dinosaur set. Evelyn gasped dramatically. A traitor. Emma grinned. I learned from your mother. The little girl sighed the sigh of a person abandoned by civilization, then wandered toward less dangerous merchandise. Tyler watched her go. That was impressive. I spent years dealing with younger brothers. Emma shrugged. I recognize trouble. You fit into this family entirely too well. The smile she gave him warmed him from the inside out. The fact still hadn't gotten old. Months later, it still hadn't gotten old. Neither had waking up and finding her text messages waiting. Neither had hearing her laugh. Neither had watching her turn ordinary moments into something brighter. The novelty never seemed to fade, which surprised him, pleasantly. What are you thinking? They left the toy store an hour later. Neither had escaped without purchasing something for Evelyn. Such outcomes were impossible. Tyler loaded shopping bags into the truck, then looked over at Emma. She was studying him, amused, as though she'd caught him doing something. I have a question. Emma immediately became suspicious. This was wise. What kind of question? The future kind. That is deeply unhelpful. Fair. Tyler leaned against the truck. For perhaps the first time in his life, the conversation didn't make him nervous. A few months ago it would have. Now it didn't. That felt significant. I was thinking. Dangerous. Very. Emma smiled. Tyler smiled back. Then continued. I know we haven't been together forever. Her expression softened. But I'm not interested in wasting time pretending things don't matter. Emma nodded slowly. Listening. Waiting. Whatever happens next. Tyler looked directly at her. I'd like us to make those decisions together. There it was. Simple. Honest. No rehearsed speech. No dramatic performance. Just the truth. Emma stared at him for several moments. Then a smile spread across her face. Not surprised. Not uncertain. Just happy. I was hoping you'd say that. Relief washed through him. Not because he'd feared rejection. Because hearing it felt good. Really good. Emma stepped closer. So, what exactly are you proposing? Tyler laughed. I knew that wording would cause problems. It absolutely causes problems. I meant the future generally. Very suspicious answer. It was. You realize my brothers are going to torment you forever. They already do. Emma nodded. Fair point. Then she reached for his hand. The same easy gesture that had become second nature somewhere along the way. The gesture still mattered. Maybe it always would. I'm not interested in wasting time either. Tyler felt something settle. Another piece falling into place. Not excitement. Though there was plenty of that. Something stronger. Peace. The quiet certainty that came from moving toward something instead of merely hoping for it. Later that evening, family once again invaded his parents' house. No invitation required. No scheduling necessary. People simply appeared. His brother brought dessert. Sarah brought the children. His grandparents arrived carrying enough food to feed a small nation despite being expressly told not to. Normal. Comfortably normal. Tyler stood in the backyard helping his father prepare the grill. His father glanced over. You seem happy. Tyler looked toward the patio. Emma sat with his mother, grandmother, and sister, laughing about something, probably at his expense. Statistically, that was likely. Yeah. His father smiled. Small. Proud. Satisfied. The expression reminded Tyler of something. Not something dramatic. Something he'd noticed his entire life. The look his father got whenever his family was gathered together. The look of a man who understood exactly what mattered. His father flipped a burger. You know. Here we go. Tyler recognized that tone. Fatherly wisdom was incoming. Dangerous territory. What? His father shrugged. No relationship is perfect. Tyler nodded. That seemed obvious. But the right one shouldn't feel like work all the time. His eyes drifted toward his wife. Toward Linda, who was currently laughing while his grandson attempted to steal a dinner roll. There are hard days. Tyler listened. There are disagreements. His father smiled. There are times your mother makes me question every decision I've ever made. Inside, Linda pointed at him through the window. Apparently she'd somehow sensed disrespect. Remarkable. His father ignored it. None of that changes the important part. The important part being, his father's smile widened. That I'd choose her again. The simple statement lingered. Tyler looked toward Emma. She had noticed him watching. A smile appeared immediately. Natural. Unforced. As though she were happy simply because he was there. The same way he felt about her. And suddenly the answer came easily. No analysis required. No overthinking. No second guessing. He would choose her too. Again. And again. And again. Not because relationships were effortless. Because she was worth the effort. there was a difference. A very important difference. Dinner that night somehow ended with everyone gathered around the backyard fire pit. Children chased fireflies. Adults swapped stories. His grandmother argued with his grandfather about events that had occurred 40 years earlier. Both were almost certainly wrong. Neither would surrender. Emma sat beside Tyler, their shoulders touching. Comfortable silence settling between them. The kind of silence he'd always appreciated. The kind that didn't require filling. Eventually Emma leaned her head lightly against his shoulder. Good day. Tyler looked around. His family. His grandparents. His parents. His siblings. His niece laughing hysterically while his nephew attempted to catch a firefly and mostly succeeded in falling over. Then he looked at Emma. A woman who understood all of it. Who valued the same things. Who never asked him to become someone else. Who walked beside him instead of pulling him in another direction. Partner. Exactly what he'd wanted all along. Not perfection. Not fantasy. Partnership. Yeah, he said quietly. A smile touched his lips. Really good day. Emma smiled too. Then their fingers intertwined. Simple. Ordinary. Meaning everything. And as laughter drifted across the backyard and darkness settled around the people he loved most, Tyler realized he wasn't looking for the next stage of his life anymore. He was already living it. Not because everything was finished. Because it was finally beginning. Epilogue. The law expands 5 years later. That is absolutely not happening. Tyler stood in his sister's kitchen holding a box nearly half his size. Across the room, Sarah stared at him with the exhausted expression of a woman who should have known better than to ask questions. What is it? Tyler smiled. The smile alone answered the question. No. Come on. No. It's educational. Sarah folded her arms. Last time you said that, my daughter learned how to launch water balloons using basic physics. See. She broke a mailbox. Tyler pointed proudly. She applied the lesson. From the dining room came a familiar voice. Mom. Evelyn, now 12 years old and rapidly becoming far too clever for public safety, appeared in the doorway. Beside her stood her younger brother, Noah. Both immediately focused on the box. Dangerous. Very dangerous. Uncle Tyler bought something. Sarah looked toward the heavens. Of course he did. It's educational. Stop saying that. The children had already surrounded the package. Tyler wisely stepped backward. Once excited children locked onto a target, survival instincts suggested maintaining distance. A pair of arms wrapped around his waist. Tyler smiled before he even turned. Emma. Still beautiful. Still the first person he looked for in a crowded room. Still his favorite part of every day. Causing problems? Allegedly. Emma peered at the box, then sighed. Oh no. The fact she'd immediately identified the situation made him ridiculously happy. 5 years hadn't changed that. Neither had marriage. Neither had the house they'd bought together 3 years ago. Neither had the countless ordinary days in between. If anything, those things had only strengthened it. The grand romantic moments had mattered, but the everyday moments had mattered more. Morning coffee, shared grocery lists, inside jokes, running errands together, showing up, again and again. The things his parents and grandparents had been modeling his entire life. What's in the box? Emma asked. Tyler smiled. A beginner robotics kit. Sarah made a strangled noise. No. Yes. No. Absolutely. The children erupted into cheers. Tyler considered that victory. The Green family gathering occupied the entire backyard by late afternoon. Some traditions simply refused to die. His parents still hosted whenever possible. His grandparents still attended despite repeated claims from everyone else that they could stay home and relax. His grandfather informed people suggesting such things that he wasn't dead yet. His grandmother agreed. Loudly. Today they sat beneath the shade of a large oak tree watching cousins, grandchildren, and assorted family friends move through the yard. The years had added wrinkles, gray hair, a slightly slower pace, but remarkably little else. Tyler carried 2 drinks across the lawn. One for himself, one for Emma. He found her sitting beside his grandmother. The 2 women were laughing. Not unusual. His grandmother adored Emma. Always had. From the very beginning. Emma accepted the drink with a grateful smile. Thank you. You're welcome. Grandma eyed both of them, then smirked. The exact same smirk she'd worn years ago. Some things truly never changed. What? Grandma looked innocent. Terrible sign. I'm just remembering. Tyler sighed. Dangerous. Your grandfather said the same thing when I met him. Because it's true. She ignored him. As I recall, someone insisted I was meddling. You were meddling. I was right. Emma burst out laughing. His grandfather appeared beside them carrying a plate of food. She's going to put that on her tombstone. Correct. I was right. Also correct. Tyler shook his head. Hopeless. All of them. Absolutely hopeless. And he loved every one of them. As evening approached, lanterns illuminated the backyard. Children chased one another through the grass. Adults gathered around tables. Stories flowed as easily as laughter. Tyler sat beside Emma near the fire pit. The same fire pit where years earlier he'd realized his life wasn't waiting to begin anymore. Now it felt even more true. Emma rested her head against his shoulder. A familiar comfort. A favorite comfort. Neither needed to speak. They had long ago learned silence could be shared. Eventually she smiled. "What are you thinking?" Tyler looked around. His parents. His siblings. His niece and nephew. His grandparents. The family that had shaped him. Supported him. Embarrassed him with remarkable consistency. Then he looked at Emma. The partner he'd spent years building a life with. Not because either of them needed rescuing. Not because either of them needed fixing. Because they'd chosen the same road and kept choosing each other along the way. A simple thing. Powerful thing. He slipped an arm around her. "Honestly," Emma nodded. Tyler smiled. "I'm thinking Grandma's still dangerous." A bark of victorious laughter immediately came from across the yard. Apparently she'd heard him. Somehow. Emma laughed. Tyler joined her. The familiar warmth settled through him. Contentment. The kind he'd hoped for years ago but never quite been able to imagine until it arrived. Not perfect. Not dramatic. Real. Which was better. Much better. Across the yard, Evelyn held up a partially assembled robot while Noah shouted instructions that were almost certainly wrong. Sarah looked 5 seconds from confiscating everything. Tyler smiled. The law of uncles, it seemed, remained alive and well. And judging by the chaos already unfolding, business was booming.